Recording in progress.
West Haven City Council meeting tonight. My name's Rob Vanderwood. I'm the mayor of West Haven, and I'll call this meeting to order. Today is Wednesday, November 6th, 2024. It's 6 o'clock, and we're ready to get started. We appreciate those that are here and those that are online. We want to excuse, I think Councilmember Morse is feeling ill. I think she's getting on. It looks like she's online as well, so she'll be joining us online tonight. We also have our Weber County Sheriff Department here, Lieutenant Lavely. We have staff, and again, most of the council members are here, and we appreciate you being here tonight. Let's get started with on our agenda. Item number one, our meeting, number two, our opening ceremonies, our Pledge of Allegiance, Councilmember Dixon, and our prayer or moment of silence with Councilmember Call.
Would you please stand and repeat the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our dear Heavenly Father, we are grateful to gather tonight to discuss matters of the city. We are grateful for this wonderful place that we live and the residents that are here. We pray that we may be attentive this evening and in the matters that we discuss, that we can make good decisions and do those things that will be in the best interests of our community. And we offer this prayer in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Okay, thank you very much, Councilmember Dixon and Call. We'll move on to item number 3, our public presentation. Residents attending this meeting will be allotted 2 minutes to express a concern or ask a question about any issue that is not on the agenda. No action can or will be taken on any issues that are presented. Do we have anyone that would like to come forward at this time? Okay, seeing none, we'll move forward on to the next item. Item 4, our upcoming events. We have our Weber County Housing and Infrastructure Forum. It'll be on November 20th, and that'll be kind of a fun thing to go through and sit through and learn a little bit about. That'll be on, like say, November 20th at 9 a.m. It'll be in the Commission Chambers at 2380 Washington Boulevard in Ogden. So if you have a chance to attend, you're welcome to. We also have our Santa, I didn't know if you knew, was coming to West Haven. Pretty excited about that. That'll be on December 2nd for the Heart of the Holidays. It's a fun celebration here where we turn the lights on. Santa will help us to do that. And we'll have a lot of fun with the kids and do a lot of activities that evening. So put that on your calendars for December 2nd at 6 p.m. We also have our senior lunch bunch. We have delayed that because it's the day, it's right before Thanksgiving. So we put that off, and we're going to cancel that or postpone it due to the Thanksgiving holiday. And we're going to hold a senior lunch bunch on December 11th, a little bit earlier, and that will be our holiday celebration for the seniors. So we're looking forward to that. Any upcoming events from the council that we missed? Okay, we'll move on to item number 5, our council updates. Any updates from the council that you'd like to share?
I'd just like to update on the pumpkin walk that we held. It was very well attended. It was a lot of fun. We had a lot of cool pumpkins, and we changed the time from 6:30 to 8. It was cold. It was so cold. The wind came in and was blowing, but I think that everyone had a good time. We had the canned food donation with it, and we had there were over 200 cans of food donated. Many people brought cases of canned goods, which helped our numbers. I delivered those to the Lantern House the next day. They were extremely thankful for that. There was my husband's pickup, the back was full, so they were extremely thankful for that. Next year, I'm thinking that we might want to just try to focus it in that 1 hour, because after 7:30 there were a lot of people there and it was cold. So I think if we focus it from 6:30 to 7:30, get everybody there, it would be I think it will be better. So those will be on our notes for next year. But I want to thank everybody who came out and attended and helped. And city staff was awesome, and they helped us with the music. They helped us with everything we needed. So I just wanted to give a shout out to them as well.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember Dixon. Anyone else? We had a couple things in the city I thought I would just make you aware of. We have our Healthy Utah community. We are a Healthy Utah community here at West Haven. We were number 8 in the state to receive that. They are also providing and offering a free student support. So I'm kind of excited about that. We're going to fill out that application for them and get working on some of those things where they can help us with some healthy type projects within the city, surveys, walking audits. They can do creation of marketing materials, things like that. It'll be kind of fun. So I'll talk more with Mr. Warnke, our city manager, and see if we can get something going with that. I think it'll be a really good thing because of our designation there. Also, we have in our city a young lady named Cyan Hollenbaugh, and she is the Miss Utah Junior Teen. So she is in the National American Miss Pageant. And I will be meeting with her next week, and I think that's pretty exciting to have someone like that from West Haven. They've lived here since July of 2020, so we'll have a chance to meet up with her and talk with her a little bit more about her successes and things she's done as a teen here in West Haven and representing Utah. So that's kind of exciting.
I think that would be a great social media post as well. I think that would be an awesome Facebook and even on the website maybe. But I think that's cool.
Yeah, it's very neat. So we'll move forward with that as well. Anything else from the council? Okay, we'll move on to item 6 on here, our action on our consent agenda. The city council minutes for a meeting held on October 16th of 2024. Item B is Young and Morgan for $63,598. That's for a vehicle for, I believe, Mr. Venstra. Item C is for Bowen Construction for $75,000. That's for our bleachers and our concrete pad installation. We have item D for Advanced Paving and Construction for $186,439.40. And we have, and that's for 4300 South paving. And item E for Advanced Paving and Construction for $218,269.62 on there. So, and that's for the 4300 South paving as well on those projects. We also have item F that was added on here for C&B Asphalt for $132,617.20. And that was for, I don't know what road that was for, but we'll look it up and see. It wasn't on the invoice on there. But that's what we have for our action on consent agenda. Any questions from the council? Okay, I'm ready for a motion.
I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda, items A through F.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion from the council on this? One thing I would add before we do that is if there's a possibility on there, Emily, for our city recorder on here, could we possibly put the adjourn time on there for the minutes?
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry if I missed that.
That'd be okay? Just so we have it so people know how long we're here at the meetings and so forth. Sometimes it's impressive and disimpressive, but I appreciate it if you could add that.
Are you talking about the minutes on the consent agenda?
Yeah.
It does have that.
Does it have it on there?
Yeah, 6:45.
There was one on the planning, I think, that missed it on there, but I didn't see it on there.
No, it says it.
So it looks like it is on there. But thanks for doing that. Okay, we'll go ahead and do a vote on that. Councilmember Dixon,
Aye.
Councilmember Morse,
Aye.
Councilmember Swap,
Aye.
Councilmember Call,
Aye.
and Councilmember Saunders.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries on our consent agenda. Thank you. Move on to item 7. Item 7 is a public hearing for the purpose of soliciting public input on the ordinance approving the appropriation of public infrastructure reimbursement for a city road reconstruction at Hunter Drive. I know Mr. Warnke our city manager's worked hard on this with our consultants and with the state for legal advice and moving forward with a lot of things on here, but if you could fill us in on a few things before we go into public.
And I would add that our city attorney was very involved in the process, and I'd like to introduce to the city council Rob Sant. He is with Urban and Maine. He is our economic development consultant, and he was really instrumental. He really became the point person and done a fantastic job for the city as far as coordinating with all the different property owners and with state agencies and really helping us get to this point. He does have a presentation that I think might be beneficial for the council to summarize several of the agenda items that are in succession, and also for the public as well, in order to be able to potentially make a public comment if they choose. So.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Sean, and thank you, Mayor and council members. Pleasure to be here with you tonight. Hope to be seeing you a lot more over the next coming months as I continue to help the city with your various economic development efforts. So what I think would be helpful to do tonight, there's a few agenda items. So ultimately, you're going to be adopting a public infrastructure reimbursement agreement, and then there's a couple of legal requirements that you'll also have to have a public hearing on because of that reimbursement agreement. So I think what we'll do is we'll start kind of giving you a history of why we need this public infrastructure reimbursement agreement, and then we'll talk about the details of the agreement, and then the last thing we'll do is we'll briefly talk about what that public benefit is of participating in the infrastructure reimbursement. So the first one, I'm going to go to that next slide. This is kind of just a brief history of why this reimbursement is needed. So the current Hunter Drive, which is that first picture on the right, was constructed in 2007 as Walmart was initially interested in coming on this site. This site is on Midland Drive and 4000 South. It's 80 acres. 20 acres is owned by Walmart, and then 60 acres is owned by Kimball Investments. And this agreement is all three of those parties, so Kimball, Walmart, and then the city. So it was constructed in 2007, and then due to market constraints and other events, Walmart was never built on that site, and then Hunter Drive has been unused and has deteriorated to its current condition, which is a point of failure. And then in 2023, Walmart came back to the table and they submitted an application for a site plan permit, a subdivision plat amendment, and the vacation of the existing Hunter Drive to realign and reconstruct a new Hunter Drive that would facilitate and accommodate a larger footprint store of a super Walmart than one that they originally anticipated building in 2007. And then that realignment and construction is estimated to cost in excess of $4 million. And they reached out to us because of some issues with that cost. So the first one is, as this is a public road, it's the city's responsibility to fix it and to make it so it's no longer failing is the one thing, is that would be the responsibility of the city. And then the second thing is there's a lot of market conditions that we're seeing all throughout the state. Any development is really hard with construction costs, and the costs to get financing are pretty high. So those things together didn't really make the project pencil. And so they asked if the city would be willing to offset a portion of that Hunter Drive realignment cost. And they identified $2 million as that request. And then the last thing that I would like to note is that we've done some forecasting, and at build out, the whole 80-acre development will produce between $1 million and about $2 million of annual city sales tax revenue. So then going into the terms on that next page of the reimbursement agreement. So as I previously mentioned, there's 3 parties in this agreement. There's Walmart, and then there's 4,100 Investments, which they're called the company in the agreement, and then there's the city. And so there are various commitments that all parties have agreed to in the agreement. So the first one, we call that the Walmart and Company Joint Commitment, and that commitment is that they'll construct Hunter Drive in the new alignment, and they'll submit documentation to the city that summarizes the actual costs related to those expenses. And then Walmart has agreed to a specific commitment that they'll receive a certificate of occupancy for their supercenter of at least 170,000 square feet by December 31st, 2027. That's a pretty quick time frame. So the good news about that is really to hit that, they're going to need to start construction as soon as possible. So this isn't something that you're going to get this agreement, agree to it, and then it's going to be sitting for years like it has before. In order to hit that, they do need to get going ASAP. And then we also wanted to throw some company-specific commitments. So the company agreed to 2 things. So the first one is they've agreed to construct at least 20,000 square feet of additional commercial space that should be also sales tax producing by December 31st, 2032. So 5 years after Walmart receives that certificate of occupancy. The reason for that delay is right now it's really hard to attract a lot of these smaller retails to the area. But once you have that anchor of Walmart, then it's going to be a lot easier for those other uses to come. So that's why there's kind of that 5-year pause between when Walmart opens and the other commercial. And then the last one is they've agreed to redevelop 2 parcels that they own specifically that has current buildings on it within 10 years after Walmart receives their certificate of occupancy. And then what we've committed to as a city is once Walmart and the company satisfy the joint commitment, so they actually build the road, and then the superstore is open, then we have agreed that we will reimburse them up not to exceed $2 million, and how we will pay that is through sharing with them 50% of the city's local option sales tax that's generated just off of this project for a period of 8 years or until that $2 million is reached. And based off of current forecasts, likely will reach that well under that 8 years, but they wanted to include kind of that longer time frame just to make sure that they're made whole on that whole $2 million. And then the last thing to get into is because we're appropriating city funds, state law mandates that we do what's called a 1082 study, and it's just a study to show that there's a public benefit of appropriating city revenue to that. And so we did that memo, and that's been attached to your packet. And I'm going to read off of this sheet, so that's on the next page. And then also Sean's staff report summarizes some of it as well. So if you want to go to the next page on the presentation. So state law kind of goes through and just lists the various components that need to be included in that study. So you need to look at, and I'll just read here from the code, it says that the legislative body judges that the purposes of the appropriation provides for the safety, health, prosperity, moral well-being, peace, order, comfort, or convenience of the inhabitants of the municipality. And then it says when you look at those benefits, you can look at both qualitative and quantitative benefits. So as we previously mentioned, the main quantitative benefit would be that sales tax increase. So we looked at it for a 10-year period, and you'll see here, this shows what the sales tax will be just for the city. We didn't look at the county or any other entities. And then also what that public infrastructure reimbursement will be. So for the first, while the reimbursement's going on, the city will be getting about just under $500,000 to over $500,000 a year in sales tax after paying that reimbursement amount. And then in year 5, there's a partial payment that we've shown off of our projections to hit that $2 million number. And then after that, the city's going to receive almost $1.5 million every year, up to $2 million. So over that 10-year period, it's a $10.9 million net benefit to the city, or an annual net benefit of just over $1 million. And in some of the qualitative benefits we looked at is that it increases the comfort and the convenience of the residents of West Haven, as it provides some shopping options closer to home. So less time sitting in their car, sitting in traffic, more opportunity to shop local. It also increases the prosperity of West Haven. As kind of a vibrant commercial center, you'll feel that economic impact, and you'll attract other retailers to the city. And hopefully a few local businesses will be located in the shopping centers as well. And then the last thing that it does is it does increase the peace, order, and safety of West Haven, as some of this money, the revenue that's produced, will go back to fund the general government services. So that is the presentation. A lot of information.
Thank you, Rob. Appreciate that. Anything else?
No, I appreciate, again, Rob's help and Amy's through the process, and I really believe it's ready for your consideration.
Okay. We'll run it through our public hearing first. So we'll open that up. I need a motion to move to a public hearing.
So moved.
So moved. Second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Any further discussion from the council on opening a public hearing? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. We're now in public hearing. If we have anyone that would like to come forward and have a discussion, happy to have you come up. Okay, seeing none, we will move out of public hearing. Need a motion for that.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on closing the public hearing? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, we're now out of public hearing and back to our regular meeting. We'll move on to item 8, action on ordinance 33-2024, an ordinance approving the appropriation of a public infrastructure reimbursement for the city road reconstruction at Hunter Drive. So I'll open this up to the council for questions.
To start, Mr. Sant, you mentioned that this was a public city-owned road. Can we confirm that we own that road?
It's on the dedicated plat that was done in 2007.
And it's recorded that way?
It is recorded that way.
Okay. I just looked up the Weber County site and it doesn't show our information on there, so I was just curious.
Yeah, it's on the plat,
Okay.
but they dedicated it.
Perfect. Thank you. Easy answer for you.
Always good, huh?
Yeah.
Other questions, council?
I just have a comment. Thank you for your presentation. That makes it a lot easier to understand and see. And thank you, Sean, for all of your work on that. I know you've been working with the state to make sure that we were okay to do this. So
No other comments? Okay, I'm open for a motion on that.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 33-2024, an ordinance approving the appropriation of a public infrastructure reimbursement for a city road reconstruction at Hunter Drive.
Second.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion on this action? Okay, we'll do a roll call on this one. Councilmember Call,
Aye.
Councilmember Saunders,
Aye.
Councilmember Schwab,
Aye.
Councilmember Morse,
Aye.
and Councilmember Dixon.
aye.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. We'll move on to our next item on here, item 9, action on resolution 44-2024, public infrastructure participation agreement with Walmart Incorporated and 4100 Investments LLC. Is there any added things, Mr. Warnke, you'd like to add for that?
The only thing that I would add is we did coordinate this agreement with the state of Utah and the Governor's Office of Economic Opportunity, just to make sure that it complied with with state legislation, and they did put a letter of concurrence, and that's included as an exhibit to the agreement. So that's the way that we just formalized the process in coordination with the state of Utah.
Yeah, thank you for that. That was time consuming. A little while.
Yeah.
Get that done. Thank you. Any questions, council, on this?
Under the agreement section,
Page number.
no, there's no page numbers.
Okay.
You start with the recitals and then you have the agreement. Number 2, the company-specific commitments. I just wonder why we have the additional sentence on F that the removing the existing dwellings is considered to be a redevelopment activity.
Yeah.
Why do we have that added there? Is that you tear down the houses and then that's good enough for 10 years?
Well, they have, was it 70 acres, Rob? I mean, they have quite a bit of a land holding. And so, through the process of discussing what their proposal was and what the benefits were to the city is creating, a commercial development that was vibrant. And so the idea here is that some of those properties are underutilized for their highest and best use. And the first step in bringing them to a status that is higher and better use as far as its location and what it would contribute to the community is to clear those sites and make them redevelopable. And so they have that obligation to redevelop them, and they're just saying the first step of that redevelopment process is to remove those structures or relocate them, and that's the obligation to do that. We anticipate in practice, though, that they will work on develop other portions of their property. As you know, in the agreement talks about a 5-year commitment to develop 20,000 square feet. And we anticipate that's going to be closer to the actual Walmart site. And this would be, something that would be done within that 10-year period.
Sure. I understand that. It just doesn't say this is the first step to remove the buildings. It just says if you remove the buildings, we're considering that redeveloping activity.
Yeah.
So
well, we
just
do
wanted
think
to-
market forces are going to, play a role in this process. And in some ways they want to wait till the very end because these properties are income producing, to a degree. And so that was the idea, is that, they would develop some of these green fields and then have the opportunity or, within a certain period of time, remove those other sites or those other uses from the site and then make it, developable for higher and better use.
So yeah, we wanted to ensure that, and one of the parcels is the storage unit.
Right.
We wanted to make sure that the whole 60 acres was going to be developed, not that they would leave that existing use, but we want to have that vibrant commercial center. So we added that specifically to make sure that it would be cleared and then redeveloped. And the plan that they submitted a plan back in 2017 that's now going to be updated, and that did show redevelopment on the entire 60 acres, but just to ensure that, we wanted to add that note in there to say, hey, we're going to want you to get rid of those existing uses.
Okay.
I think I had a question for legal counsel on on the resolution itself down in the whereas areas. And I think it's a 1, 2, 3, 4th one down where it says whereas in 2006. I think that's supposed to be in 2005 on that one, because just right below it talks about approved by the city in 2006. And everywhere else in here, I think it talks about 2005. Is that just a change that we could make on that?
2006 might have been when it was recorded. No, it was recorded on January 11th, 2007. I think I was looking at the exhibit A, that gives the specific date as to when it was actually recorded, so, I think we approved it in 2006, but then the plat was recorded, 2007.
So on the recitals in B, under the agreement, it has the 2005 when they express the interest. And that's why I was just wondering on there for the
Well,
commercial site plan.
in B, it says that they expressed the interest in 2005, but then if you go to the next, it says expressed an interest in purchasing, then showing a Walmart store as a major anchor, comma, which was approved by the city in 2006 for site plan and subdivision. And then it says a plat entitled the West Haven Walmart Sub was recorded on January 11th, 2007.
I think that's all correct, except for the top part. I think it's 2005, I think.
Now, that's when they expressed the interest. 2006 was when it was approved, and 2007 was when it was recorded.
Okay. We'll probably have to check on that to make sure.
Exhibit A has when it was recorded. That's the actual 2007 plat.
I've got a couple minor items on here too. I just marked on here for the whereas at the top of the page on the back page. Let's see, how many? Just where it gets into the order to accomplish these goals, which will benefit all parties. Should probably have a comment in there, especially the citizens of West Haven. And then the second to the bottom, whereas as well, where it says the city, information that the city has gathered. Should probably have a comment in there too, including the public. It seems like it starts into another thought. Does that make sense?
I understand what you're saying, but that doesn't necessarily mean I agree with to put that comma.
You read it, though, it seems like it makes total sense.
But
It's up to
it's up to you. Well, it's up to the council as to. Either way will work. I'm just teasing you, Mayor.
of course. I know, we always have these little runs. But that was it for me on here. Everything else looked good. Any other questions from the council?
One more. Under the agreement section number 4, which I had actually asked Amy about, the second paragraph that starts with the parties. It reads, while the parties believes and has consulted. Should probably read, while the parties believe and have consulted.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
Well, that was easy.
You just gotta ask it nicely.
Jeez.
In Altoid beforehand, so that.
Just want it to read that it makes sense, so.
Okay.
Just those small correction.
Okay, anything else? I'm ready for a motion. If not,
We're going into public hearing, is that what we're motioning
Not
for?
on this one.
this is just an action item on 9.
Okay.
I move to adopt Resolution 44-2024, Public Infrastructure Participation Agreement with Walmart Incorporated and 4100 Investments LLC with all the changes that we just noted.
Second.
Second, all the changes
All.
in there.
All of the changes.
Commas included.
That was my second.
All right. All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on this resolution? Okay, we'll do a roll call on this one. Councilmember Schwab,
Aye.
Councilmember Dixon,
Aye.
Councilmember Morse,
Aye.
Councilmember Call,
Aye.
and Councilmember Saunders.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you. Appreciate that. Thanks for your work on that as well. All righty, we'll move on to next item on here, item 10. This is for a public hearing for the purpose of soliciting public input on the ordinance amending sections in the city code regarding adding an appointed position of a finance director. I think this is a great thing to move forward with on here, and I know you've got some input you probably want to add to that as well.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor and council. We've talked about this over several council meetings, and as you know, we have great consultants, and we introduce you to Rob, and you all know Ryan Childs and his associates. He currently has a contract with the city, and he is specifically the city treasurer. But in addition to that statutory role as being the city treasurer, they do a lot of other accounting functions and advising for the city. And the state code allows for the creation of a finance director. And what's being proposed tonight is that we acknowledge that's the current structure that we're operating, that we have a city treasurer, that Ryan Childs is that treasurer, and that we create this new position of finance director to acknowledge and recognize how we're currently operating, and that one of his associates, Amy Davies, who does all those accounting and reporting functions for the city, including preparing the end of the fiscal year financial statements, which are then audited by an independent auditor. And so there's several items on the agenda tonight, which includes this public hearing to take comments on essentially inserting into a section of our code the term finance director. That position is an appointed position by the mayor, and as you know, with your advice and consent. And so one of the items is to renew the contract with Ryan Child and Associates. There is an increase associated with the cost. It's not an increase specifically attributed to this position, because this is how they've been functioning for us. It's more a function or indicative of the fact that the city's been growing, and I can't remember the last time. I want to say it was 2021 was the last time there was a increase in their compensation. Essentially, they're just spending more hours helping the city, doing some of the work that is associated with being the city treasurer and providing these financial services for us. And so, so those are the items that are on the agenda for your formal consideration.
Thank you for that. Appreciate it. Okay. We'll go ahead and move forward. Does the council have any questions before we go into public hearing? Okay, we'll move forward. I'm ready for a motion for our public hearing for this purpose.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other considerations, discussions? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, we're ready to move forward with our public hearing. If anyone would like to come up at this time, you're welcome to do so. Okay, seeing none, we will move forward with that, and we'll move a motion forward to close our public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on that item? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, we are out of our public hearing, and we'll move back into our regular session, which moves us to item 11, action on ordinance 34-2024, an ordinance amending sections in the city code regarding adding an appointed position of the finance director. So I'm open for questions and any concerns or things moving forward as we talked about, as Sean made mention. If not, I'm ready for a motion.
Move that we approve ordinance 34-2024, an ordinance amending sections in the city code regarding adding an appointed position of finance director.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion from the council on this ordinance? Okay, we'll do a roll call on that. Councilmember Schwab.
Aye.
Councilmember Saunders.
Aye.
Councilmember Call.
Aye.
Councilmember Morse.
Aye.
And Councilmember Dixon.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries on that. I think this is a great thing to get put in the books so far. So we'll move on to our next item, 12, action on resolution 45-2024, agreement between West Haven City and Child Richards CPAs and advisors, and appointment of a finance director submitted by Mayor Vanderwood. I think everybody, any questions on this overall, and had a chance to read through this resolution? Okay, I'm ready for a motion if no one has any questions.
I would.
So moved.
Oh, sorry. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
Do we need to list Amy as the appointee?
Yeah, that's.
Yep.
Please, let's put that in the motion.
Okay. Do you want to go back and still move that, Nina?
I have the hardest time reading the agenda, so I'll let someone else make the motion then.
Okay, I make a motion that we approve Resolution 45-2024, the agreement between West Haven City and Child Richards CPA and advisors, and the appointment of a finance director as submitted by Mayor Vanderwood, Amy, and I forgot her last name. Davies. Sorry.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion from the council? Okay, we'll do a roll call on this one. Councilmember Dixon.
Aye.
Councilmember Morse.
Aye.
Councilmember Swap.
Aye.
And Councilmember Call.
Aye.
Councilmember Saunders.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries on that. Thank you for that. Appreciate everyone's work on that to get that completed and update that. They do a great job for the city. Item 13, action on Planning Commission meeting recommendations. This is item A, is action on ordinance 36-2024, the road vacation of Hunter Drive, approximately 4275 South Midland Drive. And it lists the parcel numbers on here with Walmart Incorporated, Galloway and Company. Is there anything that you need to add on that one?
You know, I don't, but I would acknowledge that Amy has worked on this one, and she might have some items that she would like to discuss.
Really quickly, are we skipping one?
It was removed from the agenda.
Oh, I have the old agenda. Thank you. So I guess I can read the agenda a little bit.
Just real briefly, the Planning Commission held a public hearing on this road vacation and recommended that Hunter Drive be vacated on the condition that it then be rededicated as a public road once it was realigned.
Okay. Any questions from the council on that advice? If not, I'm ready for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 36-2024, the road vacation of Hunter Drive, approximately 4275 South Midland Drive.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion from the council on this ordinance? Okay, we'll do a roll call on this one. Councilmember Call.
Aye.
Councilmember Morse.
Aye.
Councilmember Saunders.
Aye.
Councilmember Swap.
Aye.
And Councilmember Dixon.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries on that. So I'm glad that we got that taken care of, and thank you to the Planning Commission for that recommendation. Item B on here, preliminary site plan approval for 4275 South Midland Drive. Gives the parcel numbers on here for a retail store and fuel center for Walmart Incorporated / Galloway and Company.
So this came up in front of the Planning Commission, and it is the preliminary site plan for the Walmart Supercenter. You should have the amended agenda with the amended packet, because the one that originally got sent out showed Hunter Drive as a private right-of-way instead of a public right-of-way. And Galloway, after it was called out at the Planning Commission meeting, they made sure to go in and change that. because the planning commission members asked them, make sure that that is changed so that it reflects that it is a public, Hunter Drive is a public right-of-way. There's two different things going on with this preliminary site plan. One is the retail store and one is the fuel center. And if the council grants preliminary site plan approval, when it comes back as final, we're asking that it comes back as two separate applications, one for the fuel center, one for the retail center, just so that, because they're on different sites, and they have different requirements. The retail center has very different requirements than the fuel center does. But for the preliminary moving forward, the things that they were required to have is being able to show like what their parking was, what the elevations were, the landscaping plan, signs, and they have provided all of those. Before final comes back, they have to make sure and annex into the Central Weber Sewer District. So they're not going to be able to get back onto the Planning Commission agenda until they make sure that that annexation has happened, because Central Weber actually issued a letter back in February of 2024 that states some of the parcels need to be annexed into Central Weber, and there's a couple of the parcels that need to be de-annexed from another sewer district and annexed into Central Weber. And so those are things that are going to have to be dealt with in the meantime. But this is the staff is, well, Planning Commission recommended approval of the preliminary site plan. Galloway is here, so they can answer any questions that that council may have.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. Does council have any questions
Yes.
at this point? Okay. Did you need to ask them to Galloway?
Well, I'm just curious on the future 27,000 square foot area. Is that something that we want to include in this, or do we want them to come back with that if they decide to build it?
I'm not understanding, are you talking about Walmart, or are you talking about
Walmart,
the
yeah.
company?
Walmart, sorry.
Which,
C30.
hold on just a second. Okay, so ask the question again.
There's a 27,000 square foot area that's for future. What does that entail?
Does somebody from Galloway want to
Yeah,
address?
please come up. Just state your name and address for the record, please.
Yeah, Spencer Hymas, 621 East, 350 North, Bountiful. Here with Galloway on behalf of Walmart as well. I'm not familiar with the section that you're talking about with regards to the future area.
Spencer.
If I can take a look at what you guys have.
Or I can speak to it if you'd like me to.
It's right there.
Oh, I got you. Okay. Yeah, and I was going to mention, I do have some of my colleagues here with us online as well. So yeah, said you want to talk briefly
Yeah.
about
So the 27,000 square feet, we're including that as part of the future plan to potentially build this out. Right now, that's not planned with the construction, and it's still being evaluated. The idea behind that being that we wanted to look at this holistically as the long-term build out of the site and the potential for it, and have it permitted so that it was an allowable square footage in the future, with the intent that if they wanted to come back and build it, obviously they're going to have to go back through all the engineering approvals and reviews, but this would be entitled.
And I understand that, so I just want to understand the use of that, is if we're going to approve that right now on the drawing for a future, what is the use for that 27,000 square feet?
The intent would be for basically online grocery pickup is how that's framed. Without getting into too many particulars, basically it's the build out of their future plans for online grocery or online delivery, pickup delivery, expanding in terms of the overall operations nationwide, and so it's to accommodate that additional use. Brandon, I don't know if you want to add anything to that. I mean,
I can speak just a little bit further to just clarify that the intent right now, and by the way, just clarifying, when we initially met with the city of West Haven, and I apologize, I can't recall the name of the planner that used to be there but is no longer there, but she advised us to include this with our application if we were ever to expand in the future. And so the intent of this would be online pickup delivery, which essentially, the customer orders something online, drives to the store, pulls into a parking spot, and then the associate delivers groceries out to that customer. It is not intended to be future retail space. So it would just be additional staging and storage area for that grocery and merchandise that would be ordered online. At least that's the intent at this time. And I think that's what the intent would be for entitlement purposes, if that makes sense.
Yes, it absolutely does. I've heard rumors of that particular area, and that's exciting stuff. Are we, as a city, requiring full detail of that if we're approving it as part of the future right now to ensure that it's...
Well, right now, this is just the preliminary, and so we need to get into the rest of, like they just submitted their civils on Wednesday, and, well, last Wednesday, sorry. And so looking at, all of the rest of those finalized plans is what's going to happen after you give the preliminary. The preliminary site plan limited information that we ask for, and it's basically to find out whether or not you'll give the okay for it, so then they can start spending, the money to do the serious engineering and that sort of thing. So right now, this is what they're producing. This is all that they're required to produce for the preliminary, but moving forward, we'll be looking at all of those things.
Okay.
And just to clarify, we would not, at this time, we would not be producing engineering plans for that expansion area or that expansion footprint, simply shown on the plans today as a future expansion area. But essentially what we're trying to do is we're trying to identify it as a future potential expansion so that we're not building, we're not putting underground utilities in that area and things that are going to have to be relocated down the road. But hopefully does that make sense and answer your questions there?
Yes, it does. Yeah, thank you. That's all I had.
Perfect, thanks. It's a good question. Seemed like that was a 20,000, went up to 27,000. That's good. That'll be exciting. What else? Does council have any other questions? If not, I'm ready for a motion.
I would make a motion that we approve the preliminary site plan for 4275 South Midland Drive, parcel 0847500025, 0847500010, and 0847500011 for the retail store and fuel center Walmart.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on this item? Okay, we'll do a roll call on this one. Councilmember Dixon?
Aye.
Councilmember Saunders?
Aye.
Councilmember Schwab?
Aye.
Councilmember Call?
Aye.
And Councilmember Morse?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you guys
Very
being here.
much.
We're excited for this.
You bet.
Okay, we'll move on to item 14, action on resolution 46-2024, amendment to the interlocal agreement between the city of Hooper and the city of West Haven regarding 5100 West. I'm turn some time over to Mr. Warnke for that.
Yeah, thank you. As you know, 5100 West is the dividing line between West Haven City and Hooper. And previously, in the late spring or early summer, the city council approved an interlocal agreement that talked about how we would cooperate together on the improvements of 5100 West. The city of West Haven has a WACOG grant to essentially build that out, and that was the subject of the agreement. As part of that agreement, we did talk about some of the interim improvements that would be done on 5100 West with the opening of the new school, in anticipation that these future improvements would be constructed on 5100 West through the grant funds. Councilmember Call in the last council meeting mentioned that, rightfully so, that we should consider amending the agreement to formalize a new proposal, which is again to cooperate with Hooper to make some safety enhancements along 5100 West that would benefit both cities and the residents of both cities in helping to facilitate safe passage for individuals primarily walking to the school. And so based on the city council's direction at our last meeting, we put it into the interlocal agreement format. We have been coordinating with Hooper City, and I think and believe that it's in order to take action on. And anyways, the mayor's been very involved and has met with Mayor Bingham, and city staff has been working with the staff of Hooper, and appreciate Amy for helping facilitate the documentation or formalization of all those terms and conditions in an amended interlocal agreement, which is before you tonight.
Thank you for that. Appreciate that explanation. Questions from the council? I'm glad this was put in.
Hooper's supposed to be possibly acting on it tomorrow night. It's on their agenda, and I actually spoke to their attorney yesterday, and they have no further comments or objections, is my understanding.
Good. Well, I hope we can get our side taken care of tonight, and any adjustments or anything taken care of, and move forward with it. That'll be good. Any questions from the council or concerns? I think everything got put in there that I was looking for.
Great.
If not, I'm ready for a motion.
I move that we adopt Resolution 46-2024, interlocal agreement between the City of Hooper and the City of West Haven regarding 5100 West.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion from the council on this item, this resolution?
It says amendment to the interlocal agreement.
That is what it is. In the amendment to the packet, it is an amendment to the interlocal agreement that was passed in June.
Right. I didn't know if it had to be part of the motion.
Oh, well, yes, please.
I will add the word amendment to my motion.
Okay, we have an added word of amendment and a second. Is that still approved? Councilmember Morse?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. No further discussion on this? Okay, we'll do a roll call on this one. Councilmember Schwab?
Aye.
Councilmember Call?
Aye.
Councilmember Saunders?
Aye.
Councilmember Dixon?
Aye.
And Councilmember Morse.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries on this. I think this is good to get that cleaned up and taken care of, so thanks for that recommendation as well. Moving on to item 15, action on resolution 47-2024, amendment to the interlocal agreement between West Haven Special Service District and the West Haven City for reimbursement to the city for certain operating costs of the district.
Yeah.
Again, should I refer to you on some?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. As you know, we do have an interlocal agreement with West Haven's Special Service District, Sewer Special Service District, and the agreement is to cooperate on various functions and providing services between the two entities. As you know, West Haven City, or the district, contracts with West Haven City primarily to staff and to provide operations for the district. And There's a few items that are being contemplated with this amendment to the interlocal agreement, and this further defines and formalizes our arrangement between the two entities. And the first thing that I'd bring your attention to is the financial reporting and accounting. As you know, the city council just tonight adopted a new contract with Child Richards. Child Richards also provides the same services for the district, and it is really important that we have the same consulting firm or accounting firm provide those services, because essentially for financial reporting purposes, the government, it's called GASB, it's the Government Accounting Standards Board. They write the accounting pronouncements that we need to follow, and essentially one of those pronouncements is identifying and reporting what's considered a component unit. And because the city and the district are so intertwined with some of the arrangements and the organization, even the governance, with the mayor and council members sitting on that board, essentially that requires, for purposes of financial reporting, even though they're separate legal entities, that we show in the financial reporting realm that relationship. And so you'll see, in the audited statements or the financial statements, mention of the district in our financial statements, and there's some notes the same in the district. And so because there's financial activities and journal entries going between the two entities, it just makes sense that we use essentially the same service provider. And so that's what's included in this agreement. There's also, one of the services that the district provides for the city is the utility billing. And because they do that, and because credit cards is such a formal or such a common way of payment, having the same policy related to fees related to credit cards and the use of credit cards as a payment form is important as well, because it's essentially, residents have one transaction when they're paying for utilities and to the district, and for garbage and storm drain for the city. And the other item that's included in this interlocal agreement is, to the degree that it's possible, to try to streamline procurement. And there are specific laws that the city need to follow, and the district, in some cases they're different, but to the degree that they're compatible, we want to essentially try to go through the same process, have the same policy, and to try to make the procurement process more streamlined and easier accomplished for both entities. And so that's the other item that's included in this amendment. It has not been before the district in specific terms. We've discussed it, the issues and concept at a district meeting. I think there was agreement that some of those things seemed reasonable to include in an interlocal agreement. So if you approve it tonight, then it'll be presented to the district in a future meeting.
Okay. Thank you very much for that. Appreciate you going through it. All right. Any questions, council? Seems to make sense. I think the split on that was it 85-15?
It is, and they will bill. This is relative to Childs Richards and the split, but they will bill them directly for their financial services.
Okay. Other questions? Okay. Ready for a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve action on resolution 47-2024, interlocal agreement between the West Haven Special Service District and West Haven City for reimbursement to the city for certain operating costs of the district.
Second.
It's an amendment too.
Oh, I'll change that to amendment then as well.
Okay, we have a change on the amendment. Is the
And a
second still good?
re-second.
Okay.
I'll re-second it.
Thanks, Carrie.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on this resolution? Okay, we'll do a roll call on this one. Councilmember Saunders.
Aye.
Councilmember Dixon.
Aye.
Councilmember Schwab.
Aye.
Councilmember Call.
Aye.
And Councilmember Morse.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you very much for that. All right, item 16, we will move towards an adjournment.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any further discussion on that? Motion carries. Thank you, everyone, for being here tonight, and thanks for being here tonight.